All right, so friends, welcome. A special episode of Bronze to Mythic we're doing today. Going over my Pro Tour drafts. So, of course, if you missed it, I played in Pro Tour Karlov Manor last weekend. It went freaking awesome. Seth won the event. Our teammate Seth with our Vampires deck was a breakout deck of a tournament. We all made day two with it. Had the best win rate in the tournament with it. 2 players in top 8 and the winner. I went 9-7. I queued for the next 2 PTs. Great event. The full recap will be on my main YouTube channel. So go watch the full recap. This is going to be specifically a draft recap. So, of course, I had 10 rounds of Pioneer, but also had 2 Karlov Manor drafts part of the Pro Tour as well. First 3 rounds of day 1, first 3 rounds of day 2. I'm going to go over both my drafts and kind of go in depth into them and the things we learned in the testing counts about the format. So, big picture stuff, white's great, black's bad. That was kind of like the number one thing. It's a very proactive format, very on the board, very tempo oriented, very take 2 drops, attack a lot, get ahead kind of format. Don't miss your 3rd land drop, play things that affect the board. Nothing really rocket science, Black was not so bad you couldn't play it. It wasn't like a huge disparity, nor was white so much better than everything you had to play it. But definitely a power curve there of white being the best color and black being the worst color. And it's mostly it. And I actually did really well in our Pro Tour testing house drafts. I had a 69% win rate. Comment of the day, you know what to do. And which is cool, actually. Usually I'm around 50% in the house because, obviously I'm playing against Reed and Gabe every round. So it felt pretty good. Had 2 3-0s in the house drafts as well. And go into the Pro Tour draft feeling pretty good, but don't want to draft black. And what happens to me, of course?
Somebody's playing a prank on me.
Pick 1, pack 1. I open up my pack at the Pro Tour. First pack of the Pro Tour. It's a Deadly Cover-Up, and then basically nothing. It's like no other card you'd be happy first picking. Deadly Cover-Up is very good because it's such an on-the-board format. The Wraths are good. The problem is the decks that want to play the Wraths are often not that good because you want to be kind of proactive and aggressive. That being said, it is possible to draft kind of a blue-black control deck in this format or be like a multicolor, 3-4 color kind of rare splashy deck, and the Wraths are very good in those decks also. So, first pick Cover-Up, not thrilled about it. My next few picks are all black. Black was pretty open, so like a long goodbye, a Slice from Shadows. I think it was maybe an agent or something like that too. Oh no, it was the Edict, a Confession. So 5 picks in, I have a Wrath, a long goodbye, a Slice, a Confession, maybe a blue card. And by the end of pack 1, I've got the Cover-Up, 6-7 good black cards, and I had a green card or 2, a blue card or 2, and ideally I want to be a multicolor rare deck, where I can take whatever rare I open. There are tons of rares in the set with the multiple rare slots and the list card slots. So kind of want to stay open, hopefully open a good rare or 2, kind of slide into a multicolor deck. And those decks were doing well in our house drafts. Pascal 3-0'd 2 drafts with horrendous looking 5-color piles, which is kind of crazy actually. So you can do the multicolor rare thing. You just need to be aware of how it's going to work, and the Wraths do help there a lot. So pack 2, what do I open? Another Deadly Cover-Up, which I guess isn't that bad, right? So now I have 2 of them. Now I can really build towards a sort of plan of being a control deck or whatever, and I'm going to have it most of my games. And again, the Wraths are good in the format. So I open up Cover-Up, and again, have another pack where I just take a lot of black cards, and then I take a few blue cards, a few green cards. Not really much, not really sure what my second color is. We're still waiting for that, that big one to open a big rare, get past a big rare, some big thing to happen to kind of make me want to go into a second color. And it just never really happens, unfortunately. Pack 3 open up what's it called? Rookie, I think. I open a Sharp-Eyed Rookie in pack 3. I take it, because at that point I had 3 or 4 green cards anyway. Ended up playing green. Get a few late blue cards, and we end up blue-black. Kind of mediocre, though. The Wraths are great. The Wraths are really good in a slower control deck. We also have one of the key things you want to have in your control decks here in Fairy Snoop and high toughness blockers alongside Toxin Analysis. Really good thing. Snoop's a pretty slow card. It's not particularly great, but it does fare well in this archetype. And being able to go Snoop on 3 and then Unmorph on 4 and then Toxin kill your attacker is a pretty sweet line. And so Toxin Analysis is pretty important. And then unfortunately my top end just kind of sucked. Realistically, I've got commons here. I've got Rot Farm, Mortipede, which shouldn't make your deck most of the time. Criminologist, which can be good in blue-red. Not great, but a reasonable card, but not very exciting. And then Hotshot Investigators, which is also it's okay. It's not a bad card, but having 2 be your only top end is not a great place to be. So not happy with my deck. It looks cool because you have 2 of these, but in reality, kind of lacking in any big card draw or bombs, and then also not really closing the game out either, which is kind of rough. So not very thrilled. Win the first round, fortunately, having a decent draw against kind of a more aggro deck. Round 2, I lose against effectively a mirror. They were blue-black kind of control, similar to me, but they were Splashing Fur and Aurelia's Vindicator, which is basically just like unbeatable in this scenario, where they also had 3 Deduces too. So like we play this kind of like blue-black control mirror. We're playing like Drago, which is very, very uncommon for this format. But my opponent's just drawing to an Aurelia's Vindicator, which they're going to draw at some point, and I just can't. I have no way to stop it from gaining value. And they have always Deduces too for the Drago game. So play a really hard match where like if we played 100 games, I might have won like 10 of them. Like you just like matchup wise, it was just like such a bad way things lined up for me. So lose that match. Then it was a really close match in the third round to a green-white deck that actually had a number of good cards against my Wraths. They had a splashed Cryptic Coat in their green-white deck, which is obviously very good against the Wrath. They had 2, probably post-board, but 2 Corvold Haunches, the equipment that makes tokens. It also allows you to not commit to the board. I forget. Oh, it's white. Oh my god, no. Whatever. It's the stupid. Why isn't it showing me? Nope, not that one. Nope. Sorry, folks. Doing it live. This card. So like this card is really good against Wrath. So you can like put it on your crappy creature, force the Wrath, and make tokens, whatever too. So it was a rough round. I think I could have won maybe, but like it was definitely a tough round. Ended up 1-2 the first draft, unfortunately. I was hoping to scrape out a 2-1 after I won the first match. It was kind of deck where like if I 2-1, I'd be really happy about it. But just didn't quite get there, unfortunately. So that was draft number 1. Which brings us to draft number 2, where things went a lot better, actually. So back to draft 2, I first picked a Novice Inspector, which we have had as the best common of a set. Foil, actually. Over, I don't remember exactly. Just like, have me take a white card first, and I take the Inspector. Pack 1 goes by, fine. Pick up some good, decent white cards. A Night Watch here, a Binding there, maybe an Agent here. I was mostly white with a few black cards and a green card or two. And then pick 1, pack 2. Open up Aurelia's Vindicator. Getting Vindicated for my first draft here. And one of the best rares of a set. Obviously a phenomenal card. And great place to be. I'm obviously definitely white now. Looking for a second color. And black is the worst color, I think. But at its best paired with white, because white is so deep and good. And then also just like, it's fine, So ended up getting 4 Unscrupulous Agents. And then there's a lot of like kind of grindy, some aggro stuff, but more grindy. And a card like Sanctuary Wall is actually very good. Doesn't fit in most white decks since it's offensive, but was very good in this deck. And I also got an Assemble the Players. A rare of it has been pretty bad for most of us in our testing drafts. But in this deck, not only were you a little slower and grindier, but of my 17 creatures, 16 of them were castable by this card, which is like the minimum you need, I feel like, almost. So this card was actually excellent for me. Played Thinking Cap and Toxin Analysis to make sure these agents were better, of course. And then got, some vampires. Pack 3 gave me a couple Moroys and a vampire, which is kind of huge, actually, as a way to actually win, which is good. And ended up with a really, really solid deck. Even got the Dual Land, which is cool. And Vigilante, some flyers. A little more of, like, a traditional draft deck in that, like, it isn't just, like, a pure tempo deck in this format. Kind of some blockers, some rule spells, some flyers. Pretty cool. And round 1, I played against Sol Malka, who's the rock guy, like old Saul, I might be saying it wrong, Saul. And he was playing a Boros aggro deck, and draws lined up well. My deck lined up pretty well in that matchup. I've got a lot of good blockers and stuff like that too, so I was able to win 2-0. Round 2, I play against a player playing green-white, and I make a pretty bad punch. So game 1, I Vindicator and win. Awesome. Game 2, I'm flooding really bad. We make some good trades in the early game, but I'm flooding really bad in the mid game, but I have assembled the players. So I'm able to morph my Vindicator off the top. It's funny, I actually morphed a Moroi off the top, and then he killed it. And then the next turn, I morphed Vindicator off the top, and it lived, and I had like 11 lands in play. And Vindicator, I flip it, I exile like 4 creatures, looking great, and I forget to attack with the Vindicator. I attack with 2 1/1s, and for some reason, I just don't earn the Vindicator sideways. So I miss an 8-point life swing. My opponent untaps and rips the Spider, which is this bad boy. Where is it? What is it? The spider. Where's the spider? Is it not a spider? Oh, it's right there. Oh, sorry. Rips like Lint Weaver. Plays Weaver, gains 6 life, and has a wrench in play, and puts the wrench on the Weaver. So now it has a 7/7 lifelink. A 7/7 vigilance tapper in play. We play another 5 turns, but I just like can't get over the finish line, and he just finishes me off. Or if I had made that one attack, I would have won for sure. So going to game 3 with like 4 minutes left. But thankfully, I had a fast draw with a Maroi and the Vindicator. I was able to kind of squeeze it out, win the second round. And the third round rolls along, and my opponent's green-white again. We found green-white to be the best color pair in our house drafts. And our opponent was a Morph on turn 3, plays 2-drop, Turn 4 rolls around and fires the Morph into combat. And I block with my Night Watch face down, flip it face up. My opponent plays a Suspicious Arrival on their Morph to give it +2/+2 to win the fight. And I play Toxic Analysis on my creature, so the Death Touch will at least kill my opponent's Morph. My opponent goes deep in the tank. They are not very happy. They are kind of squirming in their chair, kind of thinking, and eventually they say, all right, damage resolves. They bin their Morph, and guess what it was? It was an Aurelia's Vindicator. So, got the Vindicator frisky in combat and lost it, which is obviously a monumentally devastating thing to happen because their bomber is gone now. And it kind of shows why this card could be a little weird. It's a Morph. Do you play it early? Do you risk it in combat? If you play it early and never use it, it becomes obvious it's valuable. And like, I had a turn in my second round where like, I just said go with 2 Morphs in play, 6 mana in play, and like 4 cards in my hand. And like, it almost couldn't be anything else, like besides Vindicator. It was kind of obvious. So bins the Vindicator. I win that game. And then game 2, I don't know, I Vindicated and won the game or whatever. And so I 3-0 draft, which is super, super awesome. And very vindicating. The 3-0 draft after 1-2ing the first draft, putting me at 4-2 on drafts on the weekend, which is good, And rest of the event goes by, obviously. I go 9-7. I queue for Amsterdam, so I'm queue for 2 Pro Tours. Again, Seth wins, which is super awesome, and I was very, very happy for that. Obviously, the team was on stage. It was super, super awesome, and I was really, really just awesome in general, and super, super awesome event. But again, more on that in the actual recap on my main channel. But definitely think this one's pretty cool. A little more straightforward than most formats, and of course, I'm looking forward to returning back to Bronze to Mythic and bringing what I learned to the rest of our episodes and wrapping the series up. So, YouTube folks, love you. Like, comment, subscribe. Let me know if you enjoyed this recap of the Pro Tour, and let's go.